Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of All Next Up. It is Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. I am one of your hosts, Eric Holzman, here to take you through the next hour where we're going to discuss everything having to do with the current state of our New York Knicks, who are on their way to the NBA Cup semifinals in Las Vegas. So last night the Knicks defeated the Toronto Raptors rather convincingly, actually, and it was kind of surprising being that they didn't have Deuce McBride and um, they still don't have Landry Shamet and they don't have, you know, I feel like OG's still working his way back, and I feel like guys are still working their way back. Mitch obviously as well, so kind of a surprise that they won by as much as they did, but they did. So here we are, and yeah. Um, Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. So I'm waiting for the other guys to come join me um, so we can get up here and give you everything we got. But again, we have a very exciting show planned for you guys again. So do not worry. We will be joining you shortly with the full crew. So yeah, we got a lot of things to discuss. We're also going to discuss the Giannis Antetokounmpo situation. As we know, there's a lot of things going on with Giannis and the Knicks. Um, he's linked to the Knicks, obviously, and he has been, and now he's saying, "Oh, depending on what you believe, um, hold on, depending on what you believe and who you believe, they he wants to come here, and he only wants to come here." I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. I don't know if he's definitely um dead set on only coming to New York. I feel like that Knicks historically the Knicks have been used for leverage. So yeah, we'll see how that works out. But it is nice. It's nice to be wanted again. I'll say that. It's nice as a fan to have a team and have players want to come here. It's very rare that that happens. So, all right, let me bring Joe in. Joe is here joining us. Hello, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm all right. Uh, yeah, just winding down to the Christmas. Only a couple weeks away now.
Yeah,
So
holiday season.
trying to finish up my shopping. I got a pretty good, pretty good headway this weekend. So I got some stuff to buy. I have a big family, so got a lot going on there. But yes, we are in the holiday season. Can't believe this year's almost over yet again. Another year, but we have some exciting stuff to talk about. Exciting stuff to talk about
Definitely.
tonight. I already started mentioning a little bit in my little bit of my early pre-show comments. We're talking about the NBA Cup. I mean, the Knicks are in the semifinals of the NBA Cup, which, depending on how you feel about it, either that's a good thing and not inconsequential thing, whatever. Joe, what is your feelings on it? I know we've had it for a few years now, and historically, it hasn't been something that people have been, oh, yes, NBA Cup. So, what do you feel now that we had a few years to kind of digest it?
Okay, so I feel fortunate that our team has different goals that are realistic as far as banners go. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea necessarily. I mean, I'll be watching the game. Absolutely. I think that there is a little bit of added heat that it's Orlando too. I think that's a really interesting matchup. Um, I don't know. I see why they did it. I mean, not for real hardcore fans like us, but some people struggle with the early season and finding a reason to tune in and watch. So, this is a practice that happens a lot in, soccer,
Yes,
globally. I think that's where they got the idea for it. So
yes,
it's not a bad thing. And I think the thing I like the most about it is the idea that someone like Tyler Kolek will be able to buy his dad a car now instead of, last time when he bought his mom a car. So I think it's kind of cool for the younger guys and the bench guys and the guys coming up that really haven't made much in their career. I think it's a little bit more impactful. I think, due to the fact that I think they have to travel during this, I think if they win the whole thing, it's like a half mil. So, I mean, that's
Yeah.
substantial for some of these guys. So I'll be rooting, but I don't really need much of a reason to root, but it does add a little bit of something to it. It would be nice to see them win it, but like I said, I'm just fortunate that our team is in a position right now where our goals are much higher and loftier and ultimately realistic.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do think there's something to it though for this team to have something to play for, right? Like if they were to get to the final, it'd be that's what I'm kind of interested to see. Like if, how much I know the guys are saying all the right things, and obviously the Players Association and the NBA are partners in this. So the players' job is also to promote the NBA Cup, get people to watch,
Definitely.
and they've said all the right things. Josh Hart was talking about it yesterday during a little press conference, like he was saying. Um, they wanted to win obviously the quarterfinal game because they hadn't been past that stage yet. The first 2 years they hadn't been, so now they finally got past that and they're going to Vegas. And he was talking about like bringing his family out and you know said he's putting the cart before the horse a little bit, but he was uh, looking forward to winning last night and then getting there, and they did. I mean, they won in convincing fashion. I thought interesting was an interesting first quarter, but then the second quarter they really clamped down defensively and they wound up pushing through. So let's bring in. Oops, I was bringing him in, and then I think he brought himself in, and then I clicked it at the same time. So we keep doing this here. There we go. All right.
I'm trying to play the Kimbe Mutombo here, Eric. You need a little darker tan for that. Don't be trying to block me.
Well, Ty and I both have what's it called, producer rights. So if I'm clicking add and if he's clicking, I'm clicking add while he's clicking it. It just switches to remove for me, and then it pulls him right out.
He's
So,
like, no, not in my house, not in my house.
so yeah. So sorry about that. Sorry about that little bit of cat and mouse we're playing there. But yeah, we're just talking on the NBA Cup. Um, and what's going on there and how the Knicks have played, and now they're actually in the semifinals and they're going to Vegas.
Mhm.
And ask Joe, like we've had a few years to digest it now. Has his feeling changed about it? What about you? Have your feeling changed about it? Do you still feel it's silly, or do you think there's some merit to it?
Well, I think I always thought it was silly. I just like, why wouldn't you be competitive from the rip, as a team?
Yeah.
However, nowadays these guys, I mean, we have to pivot a little bit from our old school ways and mentality. These guys are not built like the old school guys. So, they need extra motivation, it seems. They need to be incentivized, it seems. They need more financial incentives, it seems. Some with the right perspective as far as saying that the guys at the end of the bench don't make a lot of money. Therefore, they're trying to actually contribute in that way to those guys. And also, Jalen Brunson brought up last night about talking about even extending some of those funds to the staff that helps them get prepared. So if the money's being utilized in a way like that, I could see the incentive. But winning should always usurp everything. You should want to win at every game that you go out and play. I mean, not being total Tom Thibodeau here, but he is right. The mentality is every time you roll out, you should be wanting to win that game and not just forfeit the game. So I'm seeing guys a little bit taking it more serious. Now that the Knicks obviously are knocking at the door a little bit, it definitely will pique my interest a little bit more. I did like the fact that they looked like they wanted to go out and try to win last night's game, knowing what was on the line. So that was something for me, seeing how they just kind of rallied for a cause, which we hope that they rally even more come June, and it's a trophy, the same way they're rallying for this. So, yeah, I'm getting a little bit more into it as long as it's a competitive thing. And when your team's in it, I guess you got to pay more attention anyway. So.
Yeah, and like I was touching on, I touched on this in our chat as well. Like it gives them something to play for, right? It gives this team, this unit, who has loftier aspirations, a
Mm-hmm.
chance to actually play for a trophy, and then see if that motivates them, or if that maybe that brings them together and kind of gauges them. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this might be something. This could be a good gauge for them to see if they actually can do something
Exactly.
like that, and get a trophy rewarded for it. So I think there's a little bit something to it, having
Mm.
something to play for. But yeah, I mean they've looked good uh in the NBA Cup games. I think they only lost the. I think they might have lost the first one,
Yeah.
right, to Milwaukee, right,
Yeah. Mhm.
and then they won every other game. They're the only team actually that has made the quarterfinals every year of this thing.
Oh
So that
wow,
was another, yeah,
that's
that was an interesting little tidbit I
That's,
heard. Yeah, that was an
if they
interesting
win,
little.
are we going to the parade?
Viva Las Vegas.
No, seriously, if it's in Vegas, I'm down. I'll go there.
We'll get
But,
Sean and have the parade in Bayshore.
no, yeah, but no, I mean, don't they play the one game there and then they play somewhere else? Is that what I read? Something like that?
Like it's not
I don't
all
know.
centralized in Vegas, is what you're saying, or are you?
I could have sworn I'm probably wrong about that. I'm
I know
probably wrong.
they say something about a neutral court. I mean, I know Vegas obviously is a neutral court.
Yeah,
I don't know if
no,
leading quarter,
it is.
whatever you want to hell you want to call it, whether or not that leads into the finals being in Vegas, but they play elsewhere. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, the preliminary rounds and then the quarterfinal round was
Mhm.
actually, you know, was at the courts of the actual arenas of the team. So,
Mhm.
but so last night, I just touched on a little bit. We played the Raptors. The Raptors were without R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel quickly, so they were undermanned. We were undermanned too, but I feel like theirs undermanned a little more than ours. Their level of player
Definitely.
that they didn't have available to them. So
Mhm.
wasn't exactly a complete victory over their complete team, but they won. The Knicks won. They won rather convincingly.
Mhm.
First quarter was like a tale of two quarters in the first half. The first quarter, lots of offense by both teams, no defense whatsoever.
Yes.
And in the second quarter, the Knicks kind of turned on the defense a little bit to control the game, and then really were never threatened after that. I think the closest the Raptors got, I think, was 12 at one point, maybe 11. That might have been it.
Yeah.
Um, right, somewhere in that range. So it was Brunson was ridiculous in the first quarter. Like, holy crap, he was on another level. And we apparently there was a little bit of a discussion with a fan that got him motivated.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Right? I saw that. So
The man in the
it still
green hat.
amazes me. Does it amaze you guys that fans can motivate these guys? It amazes me because I'm like, what the hell? They don't impact the game at all for me on the court. So does that I don't know. To me, it's weird. How do you guys feel about that? Like when players like kind of when a fan does something and the player plays better.
I was always I was always surprised the extent that professional athletes use external sources
Mhm.
for motivation as much as they do, and this is across sports, man. I don't see how you really need to be motivated playing professional sports, or that you are for a lack of motivation, or you need to manufacture motivation. But I don't know. It's something that seems to happen with athletes. You know, there's a comment that's posted out there in the media from the other team, and it motivates people.
Mhm.
Fans again piss people off and stuff like that, but they're all human, just like we are. You know, I mean, how many times has somebody slighted you or you know disrespected you in some way, and you want to put it back in their face, kind of. So I guess that is kind of human nature, also.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think most players are probably just as petty as 50 Cent is. You know, it's just really what it is. You know, they sit around and they wait. You know, when he says patiently waiting, isn't that in one of his songs? You know, he's patiently
It
waiting.
is.
Well, I think a lot of the athletes are looking for that extra incentive, that motivation, and then to basically do one of these numbers to the fans. You know, we've seen it in New York a lot. You know, where the star athlete comes in. Although I think Michael had a lot of respect for New York, he never tried to clown the audience or the fan base. I'm not sure you heard a lot of nasty stuff during that time. However, you have the ones that are like Trey Young, who wants to come in and he wants because he's been had some crap talk to him in probably egregious ways. He actually got spat on, I think, at one point, and he's like, okay, well, I'm going to shut down the building. I'm going to shoot the lights out tonight. So, I think these guys look at that little extra incentive, like, oh, you're talking. Oh, you're going to run your mouth tonight? I think if it was another player, they might just sit there because they're like all buddy and buddy now. But I think it's when a fan is overstepping his ground or her ground or whatever, and those guys look around and be like, oh, I'm about to really shut you up. And I'm going to talk crap the whole time down the floor. So I think the thing with Brunson is that he's unassuming. I think people look at him and they think he's a geeky little guy, and he's kind of corny, I guess they want to say. He doesn't look like the athlete. He doesn't look like LeBron James. He doesn't look like Kevin Durant, and they probably think that they can test him. And I think Jalen is probably the biggest a-holio in the game. I think people don't believe that about him because of the way his appearance is. But when you listen to Jalen's very snarky. He's a snarky, smart mouth dude. He loves needling, and I love that about him. But I'm just saying, I think fans that are not in New York, that are not around and see the roommate show, they're gonna go, oh, here comes this big-headed dude looking like a bobblehead. We're gonna talk crap to him, and his friends talk the most crap to him. That's the thing about it. When you hear him and Josh's relationship and Mikal's relationship, these guys that love him, they talk a lot of crap to one another, and they degrade each other in a beautiful masculine kind of way that I think all of us as guys know how you get with your cut buddies. Yeah. And it's just the best fun you can have when your friend is talking the most crap to you, because those are the ones you love the most. So I think he just looks at it like the fan is talking crap. I've been talked about my whole life, so I just think that guy. I think he shook that guy's hand at the end. I think he went over and shook his hand, which is like, I'm gonna whoop your ass, and then I'm gonna come over and shake your hand afterwards for talking crap to me. He's a gentleman and obviously a death dealer. When it comes to being on the court, they should leave him alone. Detroit showed everyone last year that you just leave the guy alone. Hopefully, you hope he misses. But those elite dudes, and I'm putting Jalen in that category of one of those elite competitors and killers, you just need to let him just lose on his own, because he's not going to lose. Like, he has to beat himself. I always said that about him. He's got to beat himself more than you're taking him out of the game. So shout out to that fan, because he allowed us to punch a ticket to Vegas. He wanted to run his mouth. I wonder, one of his pitches inside of Toronto, the Toronto Stadium now, that he helped motivate Jalen Brunson to actually annihilate him, because that first quarter was a masterpiece.
Yeah, he kept him in the game.
It was kind of cool seeing him stare daggers at the guy after hitting a three.
Yeah. I will never understand why the fans bother these guys or get them going. I still don't understand it. I hear everything you guys are saying, and I'm just like, they have no impact on what's going on the floor. None. Like, it's just, but to Joe's point, we're human, and someone says stuff to you, and you have, obviously, these professional athletes have huge egos, so they want to prove. Okay, you might be a fan, you're sitting on the sideline watching me play, but you're the reason, you're my motivation now, so I'm going to use it. Obviously, famously Reggie Miller, right? We all know that one.
Yeah, look at Spike. Spike. That's why I don't like him to this day. It's like, little trick itself down. Nobody has time. You're ruining games, dude. It's like, go make a movie. Do the right thing, Spike. Shut the hell up. You need to do.
Seriously, yeah. So Knicks fans know all too well what a fan can do for a player.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just funny. It was a funny little story, and you guys are right. Like, Jalen, he was having fun with it. You could tell too, he was having fun with the guy, and I like it in a sense because the guy he was sitting close, so he obviously had really good seats.
Yeah.
And you're when a player interacts with you, you feel part of it at that point. So it's a cool thing, right? It's a very cool thing for fans to get that kind of experience. But I will never understand why players bother talking to these guys. All right, so let's move on to more dramatic news. maybe is the way I'll put it. More drama. This story will never go away. This
No.
story is not going away. Where there's smoke, there's fire. We've been hearing about this for a few years now. Came to a head because apparently, if you believe the story, they had a discussion about his future. He said he didn't want to. Giannis said he doesn't really want to stay in Milwaukee anymore. Mixed. It's mixed on who you believe on what exactly happened. Brian Windhorst said this, and I put the quote here essentially that made it known that if this was to happen, he actually said, "Can you guys trade me to the Knicks? I'd like to be on the Knicks. Make me a Knick." Essentially, is what he said. So we've discussed it before on this show. We've discussed it internally about what Giannis would, what it would take to get Giannis here. First of all, how I'll ask you guys this: how do you feel now about it happening as opposed to how you felt previously? You think it's closer to happening now than before?
I think the potential is absolutely there. Again, he did bring a title to a sad sack town like Milwaukee, and I mean that that has a lot of equity with the people that own that team. God knows when they'll see a title again, but I think it's definitely possible. I still keep my position. I'm not in favor of it.
That was gonna be my follow up question, because I'm not either. I'm not in favor of it either. But
No.
Ty, do you think it's close to happening, or imminent, or it will happen in the off season? Like, what do you think?
I've said to you guys in private that I do believe that this all lays at the feet of Karl Anthony Towns. I think Towns can disprove a need for Giannis. If they win a title this year, this story completely goes away. Nobody wants to look for Giannis. Only a shortcoming, which I think Brunson has a lot of equity. He has a lot of credit in this city. I think even if he has a terrible playoff, I don't think nobody in New York is going to say not one thing really. You'll be a little bit of a fan base, I should say, will probably get a little stirred up. But I think his credit is so deep that New York fans will look at his whole resume while he's been here, and it's been stellar. He's been clutch. He's been a lot of things. He's been an all-star. He's resuscitated the Knicks. So what really has always been the question was, who is Brunson's running mate? So they had Julius here. Clearly, they didn't buy into him being the running mate, so they traded obviously him for Karl Anthony Towns. The belief is that Karl Anthony Towns comes in here, he's going to be a difference maker. He's going to be the guy that gets us over the hump and give Jalen a running mate. We saw last season, obviously, Karl did show up in big moments. They got into the Eastern Conference Finals. He needs a little bit more credit for that Detroit series. Brunson clearly was masterful, but Towns had really big moments. So I think when you're looking at it, we're saying now, obviously, we want to at least get to Eastern Conference Finals. I believe it's finals or bust. I think that's really the mantra probably in the organization. But we're just saying about progress. Progress is getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. To the finals, I should say. So when you look at that kind of aspect, this is going to fall on Karl Anthony Towns. Because I don't think nobody doubts Brunson. The question marks have always been around Towns. Even while in Minnesota, about his toughness, about his ability to play with his back to the basket. Can he play defense? Can he stop making silly fouls? All this, et cetera, et cetera. So I think once you get into all those things, who are you really trading Giannis for? You're not trading him literally because you're like, oh, he's terrible. Nobody looks at OG that way. Nobody's going, oh, Mikal. Nobody thinks Mikal's value is that. It's really Karl Anthony Towns. He would be replacing him in that position because we think that, for me, I think Towns is better at the 5, being that Mitch is never healthy, but he shows like he can play better at the 5. Whether it's the best fit, we don't know. However, when you think about Giannis coming in, he's essentially a swap. You're swapping Giannis for Karl Anthony Towns, and you may have to add in other pieces to get him.
McBride.
McBride's going to be gone. He's going to be extension eligible next year. The Knicks don't got a lot of draft capital. I don't know. I just think that Karl can shut this all down. But if he falls the least little bit short, and that's why I said my name here says Free Hellcat. That's owed to John, who said that he can sometimes be a kitty cat, and then he could be a Hellcat. Last night he was a Hellcat. The way he played last night, you say, why even think about Giannis? But he needs to prove that in a big moment and big playoff moments for people to never think about Giannis again. And if he falls short, this story gets worse. The story gets worse, and by the summertime, there's going to be an exit plan if the Knicks fall short. That's my belief. It will happen during the summer. Not that somebody wouldn't trade for him now, but I think they'd be gambling pretty high, knowing that he has said Knicks. He's been saying Knicks for a while, and there's a chance he can leave you during the summer because he's basically saying, I'm not filing. I doubt he signs an extension. I don't care who trades for him. I doubt he signs an extension. That dude has never been a free agent, so he's going to utilize his whole power to figure out where he wants to go and write his own ticket. So I'm not a fan in that way. If you to close it out, I'm not a fan because I think you can do something to stop him, which is make him actually shoot the damn ball. You can make him go to the free throw line. And although he's proven in big moments when he won the title that he was capable of hitting like 14 or 15 straight free throws, when was the last time he hit 14 or 15 straight? He's not a guarantee that you punch the ticket and you're going to the Eastern Conference Finals every year. So far, Towns has a better record with saying he's showed up and we've gotten there. So you can't take away much from Karl-Anthony Towns other than athletically. You can limit him. But when you're talking about being on the floor, the dude can score from wherever he wants to.
Yeah.
So you can't say that about Giannis. You're going to talk about somebody who's going to pack the paint with Jalen Brunson also. Talk about another downhill type player. Cat's not my greatest choice, but when you're talking about these two guys, you're like, well, what happens in the playoffs? They take away everything you're good at.
The offense is going to suffer.
It's going to suffer.
Ty, quick question, just really interjecting real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this Giannis situation makes it past the trade deadline into the offseason?
I think so because I think he won't sign an extension. Like if it's not okay, I don't think he's going to say, oh, let me get some Greek food in OKC for the rest of my life because he probably can't even get any. So we can.
Yeah, we have Astoria.
Yeah. So the other avenue that's been talked about is LA. Luka wanting him supposedly. Yeah, but what is Milwaukee going to take from them if they're not going to willing to trade Austin Reeves? And is Austin Reeves equivalent to getting Giannis? I don't think.
Austin Reeves has been ridiculous.
He's been ridiculous. I'm just saying, can they sell him to Milwaukee's fans? Is that this is your new savior coming in? Not that I think we have someone they can do it with either, but Austin Reeves will be a good start. But you got to have draft capital. I'm not quite sure what LA has, although they said future picks. But if Giannis goes to the Lakers, that's what people don't think about. He goes to the Lakers. The Lakers are not losing anytime soon. They're gonna be championship favorites every year he's playing there. So you're not going to get a great draft pick if you're Milwaukee and say, okay, give me your assets for the future assets. The bottom's not going to fall out for a while unless some major injury happens. So, I don't know. I think it gets past the deadline unless he really loves Houston. That's the only way I can see. Houston
could give them what they want.
I don't think San Antonio's the answer. I know people talk about it, but that team's still young. I think it works for Wembanyama, but Wembanyama's hurt. You got to question if you're Giannis. Do you hook your wagon to that train? Because literally, you don't know what his future even holds. Because right now, he's looking like the tall guy in the room that gets injured, and it's what always happens to these. Shout out to Embiid. We see it. Those big guys are not long in the league. So even Giannis is injured apparently. So but. Those guys don't last. Towns seem to be a little bit more durable because he doesn't use as much athleticism. But I think he gets past the deadline. I think this goes into summer where he can kind of say, let me call my shots. And I know with the Knicks, I think the Knicks are going to give this a full year to see where these guys go and not trade off to try to make this thing work. Giannis is a hard fit. He reminds me of Julius. We were talking about Julius all those years. Those guys are hard to blend into a team because you have to work around their skill set. And Milwaukee has done that, and they still haven't won in a while.
That's a good comparison, actually.
I don't know how he works on a team if he doesn't have the ball.
Yeah.
Like he always has the ball.
He's got to have the ball.
Yeah. So I mean, are you going to take away from Brunson, and Brunson is playing more off the ball this year than he has, and it's kind of cool to see. But still, when the game's on the line or when the Knicks need points, who has the ball? I mean, it's Brunson, right?
I'm not gonna
So,
be honest, I can tell you that much.
right, like Giannis, that's my other thing. And you brought this up, Ty. He really doesn't have an offensive game. His game is downhill, attacking the basket, creating for others, scoring by attacking the basket. That can't really shoot from the outside. Um, Now people say, well, yeah, you could stop him. Real, I don't know how because physically he's like 4 steps and he's at the rim. So what are you gonna do? You really can't get in his way. He's a lot like LeBron. He is. He's a lot like LeBron in a lot of ways. In that regard, like he doesn't. But and LeBron is a better shooter than him. Like he's not a great shooter, but LeBron can shoot at least a little bit. Like LeBron,
Yeah, that's scary.
Giannis can't shoot really at all. So there's just certain things that I look at the construction of the team, and I'm like, would you? And to Joe's point, yes, the offense clearly would suffer because you take Towns away and you put Giannis. Yes, maybe defensively you're better, and maybe you can run at a faster pace and do all those things. But
You don't
someone takes
space.
Brunson someone takes Brunson away at that point. Who's creating shots for you?
Yeah.
Tell me, because I need to know. And like I said this in the chat. As great as he was during their championship run, Chris Middleton is the guy that hit all the big shots.
That's
He was the one who made all the big shots.
there you go,
Drew
Eric.
Holiday, right? Drew Holiday was the guy on the perimeter defending the other team's best player. So like they had a good team around him, and they had a guy who could, create offense at Middleton at that time.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, I don't like you said. It's a very hard fit. Obviously, all the things that are great about him, yes, you want the motor, the defense, the freak. He's a Greek freak, right? The freak athleticism, all that stuff. Yes, you would want in a heartbeat. He's just a hard fit, and especially at this point in his career, he's 31, I think now.
Yeah, he's
Right?
30.
Yeah, he just turned 31. So, I mean, what are you giving up for him? Are you giving up younger guys? Because that's what it would take.
That's
Yeah.
what
It's going to take an OG. It's going to take a Macau. It's going to take a McBride, probably. The Knicks don't have all these draft picks because they traded them for Macau. So now, what are you doing? You have to give them something. They're not going to. And I doubt everyone says Towns. And if Towns had like a year left on his contract, I could see that because then they don't have to make a commitment to him. They could just trade him. And then if they don't want to keep him. But if they're doing this, it's a rebuild. They're rebuilding their team. Why would you want Towns then? Like, what would you want him for?
you wouldn't even want OG. You wouldn't want McCall.
Right.
You wouldn't want any of those guys, to be very honest.
So,
And they're probably going to throw in like 5 swaps.
right, they'll definitely be. That's what they want. They want picks. Yeah. Crazy enough, Ty, you brought up OKC. It would forget it. The league would be like they would win easily. They're already have one loss only. They might not lose again if they got him. Because that's one team where I'm like, yeah, they don't have to give up Shea or, they don't have to give up those guys to get them because they have tons of draft picks. I mean, that is the ideal landing spot.
But you know what? In the same sense, we got to say the same thing, in my opinion, about Giannis. I don't know if he's an ideal fit with a guy like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander who operates completely.
No,
That's the brilliance of Phil. I'm sorry, of OKC. They remind me a little bit of the Allen Iverson years, where he was the go-to guy, and the rest of the guys filled a role. Although Chet is probably obviously more talented offensively than Mutombo, rest in peace to him. Those guys, but I'm just saying, they got a great thing in Oklahoma, and they don't need to disturb it. Like they add around the edge. They don't even need to get a major piece. They're already the major piece. So it's like when you look at that. I don't think that if it was me, for the sake of having the name on the back of the jersey, that I would even make that trade if I'm OKC. I don't think they need him. He would need them more so. And I want to bring up also something, when thinking about when people talk about bringing him to New York, Jalen Brunson over the last 4 years, his resume is better than Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing your team further. So when people talk about, they forget the failures of Giannis. This team, Milwaukee hasn't been elite and great for almost since the damn title. When Middleton went down, and Eric brought up the greatest point, which people don't realize, MVP of that finals could have very well been Middleton more than it was Giannis. Giannis is the name, the big name, obviously a huge name on the back of the jersey. He uses all the letters of the alphabet. But when you get past all that stuff, Middleton was the sharpshooter. He was the dagger thrower. He was that dude, and it's funny, as his health went, so did Milwaukee.
Yep.
That's not talked about enough. When his health started to decline, many brought it back obviously to Drew Holiday being traded for Damian Lillard. But when Middleton went down, that was the difference maker. That's when Milwaukee went down. So New York Knicks fans, Carl is a little frustrating, obviously. You could joke him every once in a while, but pump your brakes on asking for certain things across other people's fences, because it's not always going to be the best fit. You don't like New Yorkers who don't like Mitchell Robinson, who don't shoot great free throws, which he is an atrocity right now. He should not be even in the league. They shouldn't allow him on the bus. Shout out to Mitch, but he should not be allowed to get on the bus shooting 17% from the free throw line. That's just unacceptable. But Giannis is not that much better. So
I agree.
If you're frustrated in the clutch and they go foul him, they hack a Giannis in the middle of the garden and is in a game 6 or 7, and this dude boings, he won't leave. They won't let him out the garden.
I know, that's like you said, the grass isn't always greener, right? Sometimes, you look at the other shiny toys and you don't realize that you have some pretty good toys of your own right now. And I mean, they got to the conference finals last year, right? And they, I just look at it that way and I'm like, the logical progression says, especially this year with the way the East is all banged up, obviously Detroit has been fantastic. They're playing great basketball, which was one of the teams that I think we all earmarked and said, yeah, because last year they took a step. This year they're taking another step. But even them, they're just 2 games ahead of us. We're only 2 games behind for the best record.
Crazy to think about that, right?
Yep. I know. That's the other thing. So I wanted to bring this up. When you look at where the Knicks are right now, with all of the things and I heard last night that they started their 10th different starting lineup this season, and we've only played 24 games.
Yep.
So when you think about all of the things, Joe, you famously said it's going to take about 20 games, and they'd struggle early on. So what do you think of them being 17-7 at this point?
I think a lot of it has to do with their schedule.
Right.
I think they've had a weak schedule, to be honest with you. I think they've outperformed what I expected them to do. I really can't poke too much holes in them in what they've accomplished right now. But I think the schedule's played a lot into it. I think there have been conceptual things that have shifted with this team that have made them more dangerous too. And I think that's from coaching, personally. There are some stylistic things that you're noticing right now that I think make this team more dangerous, honestly. So, I mean, I expected them to struggle a bit more, but the cynic in me is also looking at that schedule. Like, they're saying we won 8 of the last 9. Look at those 8 games. Who did we play in those 8 games? So, again, I mean, there was a win against Miami, in there and Orlando and everything like that. But those are teams we've also split with. Lost to Boston. The rest of them, you're beating the Charlottes and the Utahs of the world.
2 wins against Toronto were good, even though they were undermanned both.
Toronto's falling apart right now, man.
But,
yeah, they are.
Well,
I told you, I never believe Toronto.
Yeah, I mean,
Jury's still out on them. I mean, they've put together good stretches this season, but I still think the jury's out on Toronto.
Well, it is. But
I think they caught people off guard too. That was the thing about them.
They've had some good wins.
No,
I think the Knicks record. I mean, I agree a lot with what Joe said. You got to go by the opponent. I mean, that's something to look into. Although you play the schedule, you play who's on the schedule. I mean, we can all go through those little philosophies if we want to. But however, we do know that when it comes to the big dogs, that's who we are going to face in order to get to the ultimate goal. Yeah. So those types of teams that I'm more concerned about seeing this type of effort. Like the Boston game should have never happened, in my opinion. the way it did. But when you're getting into the OKCs, like the real test is going to be going into this Vegas thing. I think it's a good measuring stick because Orlando is probably the team that we seem to have a lot of issues with. They had our number a couple of games, and we've come back and obviously punched back, but that was without Wagner. So you got
He's a hell of a player.
I don't know what's going on with Banchero. That's just a weird thing going on with him. I don't know.
Yeah.
He just fell off. I don't know what the hell's going on with that. Must be the Duke blood. You know how that always goes. But when looking at the whole totality of the season and where we're trying to get, the real tests are going to be those major dudes, the Houstons, the OKCs, the Detroit Pistons. We have not played yet. And Detroit's a very physical young team, which is something I think the Knicks will have a little bit of issue with. Now they have back Beef Stew. That dude's back. So, they got Jalen Duren. They've got some dogs in the paint that is going to give, a little bit of resistance to whatever Carl Towns is trying to do. I'm shocked they are where they are. I thought it would be worse, even with the bad teams. I just thought this would be a bad work in progress thing going on. I figured that they would probably start catching their stride around midseason. So this early success is a little bit shocking to me. But in the same sense, Mike Brown has come in and did his job. I think the guys are having fun. I think that's what
they're also not playing to the level of the competition.
Well, that's
sometimes in the Thibodeau years, you would get those bad teams and they would play to the level of their competition. They're beating the teams they're supposed to beat.
Yeah, they're handling their business. But I thought those teams would beat us, to be very honest, because I was like, new system. These guys are still trying to figure it out, new coach, and they definitely like Mike Brown. I think that's the one thing that that they all seem to like him, because I think if they disliked him, I don't think this thing would work at all, not this early on. So I think they bought into their connection and relationship. I know it was Brunson and when I think he was on his podcast talking about Mike Brown, and he was actually excited. He's like, I'm excited to do this new thing. So when the captain, or your best player buys in, it's going to be kind of hard for other players to come in and start complaining. So
he has a history of wearing thin on people as time passes, though.
Yeah, he's got some Thibodeau in him.
Well, I mean, that's every coach.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I mean, even I'm sure even in a quiet moment, if you ask players who were with the Spurs forever about Pop, they'd be like, "Yeah, this guy's driving me nuts at this point."
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, he kept winning. So when you're winning, it's a great elixir, right? When you're winning, everything tastes better. Everything is better. So you can take that a little more when you have success. I mean, if the Knicks win a championship, Mike Brown will probably, unless they completely fall apart, Mike Brown will probably be here at least 3 more years.
Yeah.
I would assume the Knicks win the title, right? So we'll see. It has been an interesting ride. The road record has been a little surprising to me. I didn't think the Knicks would be this bad on the road, for lack of a better term. But they're starting to figure it out. And Joe, that's to your point. Like, that's where I think it's shown more. Like when you're a home team, when you're at home and you're sleeping in your own bed and all that stuff, and you're playing games there. If you're struggling and figuring things out, when you're home, it goes better. But when you're on the road and you're traveling and then you're staying in a hotel and you're doing all these other things, and then you have to practice at a court that you're not used to, and you're doing all of these other things and doing your walk around, shoot around. I feel like those things are going to show up more in road games, and I feel like that's what's happened for the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
But at home, they've been fantastic. I've been to 3 games so far. 2 I went to at the Garden, 1 I went to at Barclays, which, let me just say, if I never go there again, I'll be happy. I'll be happy, man. I hate that arena so much. But, I mean, it's both games I went to, they destroyed the team they played. Like, it wasn't even close.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're building that home court advantage, which I think is going to be important. Obviously, I expect them to have one of the top 2 seeds when all is said and done.
Mm-hmm.
So, keep doing that. But I'm a little surprised that their record is as good as it is. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little surprised.
Mm-hmm.
but it's been fun. It's been fun to watch this team so far this year.
It
They're much more fun to watch. They score more points. They play at a faster pace. I don't feel like Brunson is like working so hard to get a shot this year. I feel like the shots are coming a little easier for him.
Mhm.
Except for that Boston game. That was they did do something in that game.
Yeah, that was ugly.
That was a little ugly, but
That
all
was
right. So another story that keeps popping up from time to time, and this guy again, our friend Max Kellerman, who I say that term loosely,
It's a
Julius.
schmuck.
was talking to LeBron's agent Rich Paul, another guy who I can't stand. And he just casually was like, he said, "Do you think LeBron is going to be a Laker at the end of the year?" And then Rich Paul was like, "Well, where's he going?" Like, yes, I think he's going to be Lakers. Where's he going to go? So Rich Paul actually in this conversation was the voice of reason. He was like, "Dude, where's he going?" Like, if you even heard him, he even said it like, "Where's he going?" Like, he even said it like that in the interview. And then Max was like, "Well, what about like the Knicks?" And maybe they'll trade a cat and an OG for him. And I'll sit there like, God, okay, like what are we doing? Like seriously, it's not happening, folks. Max Kellerman, it's not happening. It would have happened 15 years ago, 2010. Remember? Remember the decision? Remember that? That's when it should have happened.
Yeah,
It's not
that's what would
happening,
have been meaningful.
right? Yeah, that's when it would have meant something. Now, I mean, when I saw the story, I'm like, I wanted to discuss it because I want to ask this question. Why do you guys think this still continues to come up? Why do we still hear LeBron linked to the Knicks?
It's it's the first episode of their podcast. I think Kellerman needs a win, especially after getting booted off a first take. LeBron to the Knicks has always been interesting. Knicks get clicks, all of that stuff.
Mm.
But it's, I think, turning the stomach of anybody that's been in New York and has sat there and sweat through the possibility of LeBron coming to MSG for all of those years. And I think the collective, reasoning on collective reaction to this is pretty much what Eric just said. Yeah, it would have been really meaningful in 2010.
Yeah.
Why now?
Right.
And especially to give up assets and to take up $50 million in cap space. There is a scenario, though, and I just want to throw this out because I was thinking about this today. Is there a scenario in which LeBron could come to New York and it would be meaningful? And there is. It's called go to free agency, take your vets minimum, and come here on the existing team that's here. That would be an incredible story.
That would be.
And that move is something that would absolutely put us over the top. Because, again, he's still extremely dangerous, maybe a little bit more injury prone. He's been very lucky in his career with regards to injuries, but he's still a very good defender, too. So, that would be meaningful. Otherwise, this is just, nonsense from somebody that's, I don't know. I'm going to be nasty to Max and say looking for some kind of relevance or some kind of attention at this point because, his career has been better places.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I look at this is the first year, statistics wise, where LeBron, there's a huge drop off. There's a huge drop off this year. So, and there's a bunch of reasons for that. But yeah, Ty, same question. Why is this not dying? Like, why can't we just stop with
Because certain New Yorkers just won't die also. God forgive me, but it's just exactly what it is. Some people need their New York cards, their subway tokens, all that stuff just stripped and go somewhere else. Live in California. Go to Maryland. Go anywhere other than New York when you start talking for New Yorkers. Because this is what this is about. You get these propped up Spike Lee types. Oh, they're representing New York. Oh, now Max Kellerman, he's a New Yorker. Let the New Yorker. Well, you know what? New Yorkers want to run him over with a yellow cap because no real Knicks fan, not at this stage, is talking about LeBron James because we've a lot of things. What he says, witness or whatever it is that he has tattooed on him. Well, we witnessed that you are a complete ass. We witnessed you are a phony dude that would never embody what New York is about. You know, we've watched you play games in our faces, as they say. You know, wearing Yankee hats. You know, making people believe that you'd want to come here. You flirted with New York for so long. You know, and we heard, I think it was last year, he was walking through the streets of New York, and random fan let him know how New Yorkers really felt. Not Max Kellerman type people, not a Spike Lee type people. We're talking about real hard concrete Timberland wearing New Yorkers who said, we don't want your ass here. Don't come to New York. Because that's exactly how we all feel. We have a guy who wanted to come here. And Jalen Brunson's that dude. You know, there was no arm twisting. He showed up and he showed out. That's what we wanted from a LeBron type, or like what we're seeing even with Giannis, saying, get me to New York. I'm requesting that I want to go live there or play there in front of these fans. The notion that you get these guys, and much like Joe said, this is just about boosting ratings and Knicks for clicks, because it's the oldest, it's about as old as LeBron, this story. You know, like literally, it's like, why would you trade a Karl Anthony Towns for LeBron, and you probably got to throw in OG or whatever? Meanwhile, LeBron had AD and Luka, and he couldn't win nothing. So why would you convince your team to trade for someone who's not capable of actually elevating to that level? They've lost in the Western Conference Finals. Sometimes they didn't get into the playoffs. These are all on LeBron's watch while in LA. He had the bubble championship, and after that, you tell me the other accomplishment. What, the NBA Cup? Those are the only two things this man has won big for LA. It was everything was an abbreviation. So you're saying, come to New York, resuscitate this franchise, and get them to a title. I just want to know what dope dealer Max Kellerman is using, because he needs to stop smoking that stuff. Because come on, dog, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. You got a guy who was never a good off-ball shooter. So what, are you going to take the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hand, the most clutch player in the NBA last year? A guy who's a complete dog, a guy who's gotten New York. I would love to see, for once, that New Yorkers actually embrace the guy that's already here. The guy that's here, and the guy who clearly has the Knicks on the right trajectory, because when Jalen Brunson came here, it was a shift. And that shift has not gotten worse. It's gotten only better. So why in the hell would you not celebrate that guy while you're on your podcast, as opposed to talking about some guy who never wanted to come here, who couldn't stomach being here, who would be phony here? Why want his ass here? He can go.
Yeah, I mean, and this kind of comes back full circle for me to the Giannis conversation, right? Like, it's great that he wants to come here, and it's great that, you know, Giannis actually said, "Hey, I want to go to New York. Get me to New York," but they don't need them. Embrace the team we have now.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. They don't need.
Yes.
They don't need LeBron. Like, you don't need these star players. We used to. This is old Knicks fan thing. Like, we want every star to come here because we don't have one, and we need one. No, we have one, and we actually have two.
You have two.
And just because you don't, you're the other one that frustrates you sometimes. So what? That's fine. We actually have two all-star, all NBA players. Yes. Yeah. And we have an all-defensive team player. And we have talent. The team is a talented team. And I've been critical of guys, I've been critical of Mikal, obviously. I've been critical of OG. I've been critical of those guys. But I'm critical of them because I know what they're capable of. Mm-hmm. And when they don't play that way, that you should call them out for that. People call Towns out too. Yes, it's frustrating, these stupid, silly fouls. That's the thing about him that bothers me the most. Oh boy, here we go. Shut up, Craig. Anyway.
Craig.
But seriously, enough. Let's embrace the team we have. Guys, we went to the conference finals last year. We're right on the doorstep. This is the best team we've had since the 90s Knicks. Like without fail, this is the best
And
team we've had.
potentially
So
better.
Might be the best team I've ever seen. And
Yeah.
talent wise, I'd probably agree with that. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I would agree. This is probably the most talented roster the Knicks have had, especially the top half. Very, very talented team. So enough, and you're right. Like Max Kellerman, yes, he's a New Yorker. He grew up here. He's a Knicks fan. As he said, well, if you're really a Knicks fan, you don't want LeBron James at this stage of his career.
No.
well, there you go. He's speaking on behalf of a Knicks fan base that doesn't exist because he actually boycotted the Knicks. He actually became a Laker fan. He's not telling the full story.
That's
So,
true. He did.
and he abandoned because of Jim Dolan supposedly meddling. Shout out to Craig's uncle. His meddling and trying to get stars here and messing up the Knicks and never doing organic growth. This is the things that Max Kellerman complained about James Dolan and why he stopped becoming a Knicks fan. So day one of your podcast, you decide that you're going to say, let's go back to Dolanville. Let's go back and get this and start star chasing. It has never worked in New York.
No.
Never. So leave that alone. He's just up there for clicks because that makes no sense.
The only team in my lifetime, and even they, the star chasing didn't work until they had their own homegrown talent, was the Yankees. But they added around Jeter and Posada and the four guys. They added around them with the stars. They built the core of the team from the farm system. So, but that's the only team in my lifetime where that's worked in this area. Every other team that's tried to do it, the Knicks have tried numerous times, whether it was Marbury, Melo. We talked about Melo today, and I love Carmelo Anthony, one of my favorite players, but it didn't work.
Didn't work.
It didn't work.
Didn't work.
And now we finally had a guy who had roots in the ground. His father was a player here when he was born. He was in Dallas. I mean, they screwed that up royally, and it benefited the Knicks. He said, "Okay, I'm going to go to New York." Right? He chose to come here. Towns, another guy, New York product. He's playing here now. He always wanted to play here. He's playing here now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, embrace these guys, man. Embrace these two players. Be happy and go on this run. All New York Knicks fans, go on this run with us. I'm telling you, I have a good feeling about this team. So we just need to see if you get a little healthy, get these guys, the guys who are out, let's get them back in the rotation. Hopefully Mitch can get stronger as the season goes on. That's something I'm watching because I think he's very important to what they're going to need in the playoffs. They need someone like him. Yeah, that's the situation. Ty, you brought it up, and I'm a little worried too about where that's going to go. You brought it up yesterday. And then hopefully they can get, Yabba Dabba Doo, get him ready as well, and we can get him in shape because that's really what it is. He is unshaped. He's not in shape.
Booty.
So yeah, so hopefully all of these things will come together. Because to Joe's point, this team is still a very young team. They are very young. They've only been together a short amount of time, and they're 17-7. Like that's where we're at now. So all right, I just wanted to bring that up and end on that story because I saw it today. And I'm like, God, this obsession some Knicks fans have with LeBron being in New York, really crazy, really, really crazy. But
perfect note to end things off on.
Yep, it's crazy. It's a crazy thought process that people still want to hear.
Amen.
Anyway, NBA Cup, folks. When is the next game?
The 15th, I think. I thought it said. Was it the 15th? I thought it was the 15th.
It might be Saturday. It might
It's the 13th. It's the 13th. So yes, Saturday. So the Knicks play on Saturday. It's a 5:30 start, 5:30 Eastern Time PM start. And it's on Prime Video. It's not even on like normal television. I don't know if the MSG is carrying it. So I'm gonna have to. If you have Amazon Prime, that's where you can watch it. If you don't, I have it. Let me know. I'll let you guys have my access. Just don't charge anything on my Amazon. Okay.
I think I'm on a 30-day free Prime run right now.
All right.
All right. So yeah, check it. But again, NBA Cup. Let's see what happens.
Yes,
I think it's a fun thing. Hopefully they win and then we go to a final and an actual trophy They might actually win a trophy.
We'll see something.
Yep. And if they want to give you the 500 grand that they win, that'd be fine too.
A Porter needs a new wardrobe.
Your brother up. I can carry socks. The equipment manager.
It's Christmas time. It's the season of giving, and I'm good with receiving. So there we go. I'll take that 500,000 easily.
Wow.
But until then, for Ty and Joe, I'm Eric. You're watching All Nicked Up. We'll see you next time.